What's up guys, Chris here, and don't worry, the wine has worn off and we're back with another unit planning guide for the month of February. We're going to take a look at February and March and just a little bit into April at all the units, vision cards, and events coming up. So first we're going to talk about some of the major changes coming up from the JP version that we should expect in Global pretty soon. If you guys like the video, learn something new, or get good advice for planning ahead, please hit that like and subscribe buttons below. Still 75% of the people watching our videos aren't subscribed, so help us out with that number, tap that big red button. As always, thank you to WOTV Calc for all of the information that we cover in this video. Also, quick update on the Achilles recovery. Finally able to ditch the crutches full time and walk around with a boot. So I'll show you a quick video here. This was from last week, almost completely normal walk by now. So by the March guide, I'm hoping to be out of the boot full time. So fingers crossed there. And thank you to everyone who has been commenting and asking about it. I read each and every comment on all of our videos. So even if I don't respond, I appreciate the kind words and thoughts that I've gotten. Okay, house cleaning is out of the way. First upcoming change we have is EX jobs. We all know about this by now, but the max level is being increased to level 120 and all units are going to get new powerful abilities. So this is going to change the game quite a lot, and I want to talk real quick about the impact of this for all these banners that we're going to talk about in this video for light spenders and free to play. So none of these units that we get up until Final Fantasy X are going to have level 120 upgrades. So Rhaldor, Elsirelle, Garble, they're all great units, but when level 120 hits, these units won't have that 120 spike. So I'm gonna go through and talk about all of these units, but right up front, I'm going to advise free to play and light spenders to pass on these banners and prepare for level 120. Most PvP teams and the new PvE content will be geared around this new power level at 120. And it's going to be a while before these newest units get these upgrades. So while these will be really good units and likely will be able to compete with level 120 units, my opinion is that your safest bet with your Visuor is actually to do the 2 guaranteed collab units, which we'll talk about later in the video. Secondly, I want to throw out a wild conspiracy theory that I have and why I currently have over 40,000 Visuor on my main account, and I'm gonna keep saving, maybe even past Final Fantasy X, so we'll discuss that as well at the end of the video. First, we're gonna talk about Rhaldor, who is the login unit for the month, and where the heck did this translation come from? It went from Larudo to Lardo to Rhaldor, so maybe someone can help me out here. Anyway, he debuts with the new Pugilist main job and has the Paladin and Thief sub jobs, so he works really well as a strong physical tank or a bruiser, and obviously as a strong strike attack unit. His master ability has the attack and HP bonuses for fire units, so he can team up well with Rain, Delita, etc. I think he can serve well as a main physical tank, but he is super weak to magic damage, so you'll have to make sure to avoid Mirandas or Ildiras in PvP. Obviously he's going to be a strong unit, but again, there's no telling when his level 120 will come, so I think with that coming and the upcoming collabs, he's likely a pass for free to play and light spenders. Next up, we have the Typhon vision card. This will depend a lot on if they add a vision card ability here, but basically magic attack and accuracy smashed into a single card, some wind resistance, and some magic for wind units. Basically, this card is for Howlett and Halloween Leela at the moment. And as for the Esper, it's pretty much the same story: accuracy, magic, wind attack. If Witchy Woman or Howlett are the primary main characters on your account, this will be a great combo for them. If not, you'll likely want to pass. Now for Garble, and I'm still really having a tough time making up his kit here. He uses fist weapons, but all the skills and attacks are actually missile or magic attack based and scale with his magic stat. So there's some cool things in the kit here, like physical barriers, auto hit AoE, and single target massive damage, but nothing jumps out at me and screams that you should pull for Garble. The only unique advantage I see here is that he's a dark unit with magic based attacks, including jamming thrust from the red mage subjob, which in our current meta of dueling light and dark units could possibly have its perks, but again, we can't be sure when Garble will get level 120, and I don't see him pairing all that well in mono dark teams for PvE events anyway. But if you run like Ruin Sterne, Duane, Kain, or all of the above for your PvP team, Garble's master ability is reason enough to pull for him. Coming on the same week, we'll have Elsirelle, who is a light element Nightblade, if I'm getting that translation correct on the class name. This class has some oddly specific abilities, increasing pierce and missile resistance for allies while increasing slash attack for allies as well. Personally, I think the coolest part of her kit is actually her sub-jobs of Double Gunner and Spellblade, enabling her to function as a magic defense bruiser when needed. But sadly, she doesn't have quad shot from Double Gunner, which is really a huge disappointment because this would have let her chain with units like Ramza or Warrior of Light. And when it comes right down to it, she's a really high accuracy light support unit, which kind of puts her in a weird spot in my opinion, because evasion isn't really all that much of a problem in either PvP or PvE anymore. Just there's so many auto hit abilities in the game. Her strongest ability seems to be AP Drain, which does exactly what it sounds like, but even this is on her Nightblade sub-job, so it cuts into her versatility. While Elsirelle is an amazing character art and has the classic impractical Final Fantasy sword design, she's a pass in my mind. Next, we have this Visioning Astrologian Vision card. That's a kind of a tongue twister, but basically, unless this card changes, it's just for spear wielders. It increases attack by 35% as well as AP gain, which is obviously huge. In addition, you'll get an AoE armor breaker ability, which is insanely good, again, just for spear wielders. So for all of you Glaciela and Kain fans out there, you can go nuts on this Vision card, but for the rest of us, just pass this card up. Wait a minute, people still use Eileen, right? Okay, Eileen fans too, you can maybe consider this card. This leads us to Final Fantasy X, and the most notable thing about this event is not actually the collab itself, but the release of level 120 and EX jobs. This itself is reason enough to go for these units, as they will instantly become the strongest units in War of the Visions. On top of that, Tidus was given out for free in JP, so we could assume the same thing will happen in Global. Because of this, I recommend the same thing that I did for Cecil, and that's all free-to-play or light spenders should be building up a level 120 Tidus. By giving us the unit for free, Gumi is basically cutting out all of the Visuor needed to pull the unit randomly on the banner. So in terms of value to Visuor, Tidus is going to be the best investment in the game to date. We can't forget there will be a Vision card here as well. So basically this card is phenomenal for Tidus, but not much good for many other units since there aren't other strong water slash units. And don't you Tyrell or Zazan fans come after me for this. It's about time you got realistic. Actually, this card opens up the Ninja sub-job to Glaciela to be devastating, as well as the Spellblade for Ildira. Basically, if you have a really strong water team and you do decide that you're building up Tidus, you won't go wrong with this card. It's just that if you have only Tidus, I might throw my Visuor elsewhere. For Yuna, we've talked about her for a while now, but she's an incredibly strong white mage with the ability to turn fights on a dime with her healing. Similar to Ayaka, but she can also nuke enemy units using Holy. So you'll have to pull her though from the banner, which we all know can take a minimum of probably 20,000 Visuor. So be prepared for that, as well as the 25 or 30k to go for level 120 for her. In addition, Bahumut is the ultimate combo Vision card in Esper for Yuna, but being double cost, it's really hard to justify the Yuna Bahumut route for anybody who's free to play, simply because of the risk involved in the huge Visuor cost, probably about 80 to 100,000 depending on your luck. Now, light spenders might be able to have a little more leeway here with the daily challenge bonuses for shards or other packs in the stores, but you just need to be aware of the potential disappointment if you don't pull either the Vision card or Yuna really early on. Now, after looking into Auron a little bit more, I'm going to make this really simple. He's basically a better Laswell. He does beefeater damage with some extra status and utility thrown in, and unless you're one of those guys with like a Xanarkand replica in your basement and an Auron poster on your wall, I really don't see any world where Auron is a better investment for free-to-play or light spenders than Tidus, Yuna, or just saving up your Visuor for later. So Auron is going to be a pass for me. Next, we have Omega Weapon, and this card basically sends the power level of your Dark Slash units to the moon. Huge slash attack and HP gains, as well as magic resistance for dark units. It's especially useful for PvP because it does a lot of different things for a single Vision card slot, including adding an 8% agility bonus to the unit that has it on. So all of you Duaners out there, this is your card. For the rest of us, it's probably a pass. We have the light counterpart to this card, Instantaneous Scintilla is what it's called in JP, which is a great card for all light slash units. If your primary team includes like Ramza, Elsirelle, Cecil, Warrior of Light, Engelbert, this card will make all these units do more damage. But I'm missing somebody on that list. Oh, right, Robb. So a little foresight here, Robb's level 120 upgrade is actually phenomenal. So if you're a fan of Robb and your later plans involve getting Robb to 120 quickly, then you should just get this card. Trust me, the vision card ability on this is huge damage, auto hit ability for katana wielders only, so it'll make Robb an absolute monster. Now I want to briefly mention the next collab event that's after Final Fantasy X, and that's Nier Automata. I hope I'm saying that correctly because I've never actually played this game, and admittedly, I've never even heard of it until this collab was announced, but these units 2B and 9S look to be really, really cool. And in addition, 9S, like the Tidus and Cecil units, was given out to all players in JP, so again, the same strategy holds for free to play and light spenders, that you'll get a ton of value, making sure you have enough Visuor to invest in the shards for level 120. Both of these units function as sort of defensive support units with a lot of versatility. As we get closer to this event and in the March planning guide, we'll do a much more thorough breakdown of these two units and their kits. Just after that, we'll have the release of Grown-Up Mont, and he's a double cost UR fire tank, so that's just something that we're going to talk about more in next month's guide, but if you're a huge Mont fan, you may want to save up Visuor for that. Okay, finally, I want to talk about my wild conspiracy theory, and one of the reasons I'm actually saving up a lot of Visuor and I probably won't spend anything in the entire month of February, and that is that I think the next collaboration event in War of the Visions could be Final Fantasy VII, and the only reason I say that is because the global release for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I shouldn't say global release, but the release for not being exclusive just to PlayStation is on March 3rd, 2021. So I have an inclination that they'll do something in War of the Visions to promote that Final Fantasy VII Remake will be available on like Xbox and PC. So I'm kind of waiting until the beginning of March to decide what I want to do with my Visuor, and I think that a lot of people will be Visuor strapped right around this time, both in JP and in global, because in global will be right before the collaboration events, and in JP they're going to be coming off of Black Rose Helena, a lot of people this double cost UR unit. So there's going to be a lot of reasons for them to drop a huge collab, not only because people will be Visuor strapped, but also because it would be a great way to get an influx of a lot of new players into the game and revive excitement for a lot of the people who are kind of iffy on the game in the way that it is now. So you heard it here first, there might be a Final Fantasy VII collab coming up, but this is just pure speculation on my part, but I'm going to wait until the release of the remake on all platforms until I make a decision on what I want to do with my Visuor. So anyway, that's my crazy conspiracy theory. You guys can buy into it or not, or tell me what you think in the comments section below. Anyway, that's it for this planning guide. If you guys stuck with me all the way until the end here, you guys loved that pizza grill suggestion I had a while back, so I'm going to make another suggestion here at the end of this video. I've had a lot of time to sit around and watch Netflix. Well, we all have during the pandemic, and if you guys haven't checked out the show Turn Washington Spies yet, you absolutely have to. This was a show on AMC a couple of years ago about the American and British spies during the Revolutionary War, and it is phenomenal. Not only are the story and characters amazing, the crazy part of this show is that most of it's actually pretty accurate to history, which is mind-blowing. So if you need something to watch on Netflix, I highly recommend Turn. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.